Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I have another Overwatch Hero guide for you guys. If this is your first time watching, what we pretty much do is go over some strategies, tips and tricks, and more for each hero. Today we have Genji, one of the new 3 heroes added to the game recently. Now he's classified as an offensive character, but like a ton of other heroes, he can be amazing on either the attacking or defending side. Although you may need to change your overall strategy up when switching between offense and defense. So first of all, let's go through some things you want to do as Genji no matter what side you're on. First of all, Genji's shurikens are absolutely ridiculous in terms of how much damage they do. Although they can be hard to hit as they fire in a 3-round burst, so make sure you're following your enemy with your crosshair, because if you don't, you'll most likely only hit the first of the 3 shurikens. Now, I hear a lot of people asking when they should use Genji's wider spread shurikens, and normally you want to use these in 2 scenarios. 1, you almost killed someone but they're running away and about to get away, or 2, there's a ton of enemies grouped up. It can kind of be difficult to single on an enemy when they're surrounded by teammates. Now, how I and a ton of other people play Genji is sort of like Tracer. You get behind enemy lines and you start picking people off and annoying them one by one. The reason this is so good is because if you can prevent the enemies from making large pushes with their entire team, your team will have an easier job defending or attacking. So, in order to get behind the enemies, you either want to use your climbing abilities to climb up somewhere where the enemies can't see you and just dash forward onto another building and then get behind them, or use your dash to go into a room or building that leads behind to the enemy team. Normally you'll have at least one person who sees you and tries to come kill you, but you should be able to handle almost everyone in a 1v1. So once you get behind the enemies, try to look for individual heroes or 2 weaker heroes that you could easily be able to take on. Your Swift Strike is an amazing initiation but can also be one of your only escapes, so make sure you don't just spam your dash because you may find yourself needing the dash to live in certain circumstances. So once you see your target, it's normally best to dash into them and then start firing. One thing I see a lot of Genjis doing is right after they dash, they decide to start using their deflect, and normally you should wait a little bit before putting up your deflect because the enemies most of the time aren't going to be able to turn around immediately and start firing at you with 100% accuracy. So it's okay to wait a little bit before using your deflect. If you still haven't killed your target, it's kind of up to you whether you want to actually continue fighting. If you don't think you can kill the enemy, you can still escape. You still will have wasted the enemy's time and caused them to lose a ton of health, and you can pretty much do that a ton. Now, Genji's ult can be devastating and even team wiping if done correctly. Unlike Winston's ult, Genji's ult doesn't give Genji a ton of extra health, so you could still die to a Widowmaker headshot or a Pharaoh rocket. Normally you aren't going to ever want to use your ultimate in front of the enemies because they're just going to target you immediately and kill you. And even if you die the second after using your ult, the entire progress bar is reset. So make sure you use your ult only when behind enemies or when you think the enemies are too preoccupied to even notice you. Also, remember you can still use your deflect in your ultimate. Another thing I want to bring up is what some people have been calling curve boosting. Now this probably is a bug that will be patched at some point, but I still want to bring it up just in case it's intended or the devs decide to keep it in the game. Pretty much what it is when you dash at certain objects with the exact correct angle, you can gain a ton of speed and momentum, and it can kind of be ridiculous at times. This footage was actually taken by Fugler, and I'll leave a description down below if you want to see what's happening more in depth. He does a really good job explaining it. Now, some of the tanks or heroes with weapons that can't be deflected, like Winston or Zarya, can be very hard to deal with, so most of the time you want to just pick off people like Lucio, Tracer, or McCree. Another thing to note is Mei is another one of the new heroes that can absolutely destroy Genji with her endothermic blaster, so make sure to stay very far away from her, because if you get frozen, you can't do anything. Now on defense, you kind of need to gauge how well your team is doing defending a certain point. If they're struggling really hard to keep the point defended, you might want to go back and get some pickoffs closer to the objective, just so you can help if needed. On offense, when kind of lurking around and deciding who to go after next, pay attention to who's giving your team the hardest time. If there's a Widowmaker that's getting a headshot after headshot, you might want to go after them rather than a Junkrat that just respawned. And that's pretty much it. Remember that this isn't the only way to play Genji, it's just the way I personally like to play him, and I've had a ton of success. So, like always guys, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more Overwatch content and news. Also, if you guys have any suggestions for which heroes you'd like to see next, make sure to tell me in the comments down below. See you guys next time.